developed in San Antonio, they will develop him. So be on the lookout for this kid probably in like 3 to 4 years. That's what I'm thinking. 3 years, you should see this dude on the radar, actually giving some really, really quality minutes for San Antonio. The other player is Kevin Porter Jr. At USC. Man, this dude can score, man. That dude can score. And so, Cleveland ended up taking him at the 30th pick. They traded up for him to get him. And so I like to see how he develops. I don't know. Cleveland doesn't really do a good job of developing players. But this is a guy who can end up, he can end up being a guy who, could be a starter if he truly develops on the defensive end. Or he might be one of them guys like Lil Williams who just comes in, or Jamal Crawford. Probably Jamal Crawford more so. Just comes on the court and just gives you buckets. He's not a really good passer. He's not a facilitator type guy. He is literally a scorer. Like, you give him the ball, you move out the way, you let him go do his thing. So, those two players were really intriguing to me at the end of the first round. And then one player that I really liked was again another Spurs player, Quindary Witherspoon from Mississippi State, shooting guard who is just really solid, just a solid guard. Can shoot the ball really well. I think he shot close to 40% from 3-point line last year. Ball handler, he can switch over to the point guard position. He can also play that forward position. He can slash to the rim. He can do a lot of things really well, just nothing great. Sort of like Matt Barnes, per se. Like Matt Barnes, one of those players who couldn't do anything great, but he just did a whole bunch of things well. Sort of like that. So, again, being in the Spurs system, developing, he might be on the radar in a couple of years as well.
Yeah, and the Spurs do a great job at that. DeJounte Murray, who's there, you look at how he developed.
Oh, my God.
Prime example. This name I'm about to say is a prime example. I can't remember his name. The short guy from Australia. Went to St. Mary's.
Patty Mills.
Patty Mills. Prime example of how they developed him. And I actually seen Patty Mills play at St. Mary's. So, I mean, he's a good player, and I think the Spurs is going to be able to do a good job. We got a couple of comments here in the chat room I want to talk about. A-Trap, who's a Bulls fan, says, Bulls going to the finals. That is a major stretch. That's a violation. That's a flag on the play. I can't let that slide. Now, you did add Kobe White. That's my boy. Tario's ride or die. Now, they added him. I don't know who else they added. Okay, they added Daniel, Gafford. Those are the two picks that they received. I don't know how good they're going to be. I don't see them going to the finals, though, A-Trap. But if they do, like I always say, I will get you on the show, and we can talk about it. But I'm pretty sure they're not going to the finals. But I'm happy for Kobe White.
Hey.
Oh, go ahead.
This is a normal reaction. This is a normal reaction from people whose teams have been really, really bad and they have a good draft. They're like, hey, we're going to the finals now. No, you're not. No, you're not. It's okay. All right. You might be a little bit better. You want to be a little bit better than you were last year, hopefully. But you're not. The Bulls are light years away from going to the finals right now. They're light years away from being a real contender in the Eastern Conference right now. They got a lot of work to do. I think they start off well. We're going to see if they can get Brogdon. They're trying to bring in Brogdon. That would be a hell of a pickup for them because he is a 50, 40, 90 guy. He's also a really, really solid defender too. So him and maybe Zach LaVine in the backcourt could probably do something. I'm not really sure if your best player on your team being Zach LaVine is enough. Because since that is your best player on the team, you can't win a championship with Zach LaVine being your best player. That's just me personally. But y'all got some pieces that y'all can build upon and become a more competitive team. You won't be, last in the division no more. you know. but 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 you'll be a lot better. You'll be a lot better. You might be, you know, second to last in the division, but you'll be better.
Yeah, and he comes back and said, "I never said win." I'm like, okay, even though you never said win, for him to even make it is a stretch. But A-Trap, like I always say on this show, I will, if they somehow do that, I will get you on this show and we will talk about it. A major trade that was done during this week before the draft. Mike Conley going to the Utah Jazz in exchange for Grayson Allen, Jay Crowder, Kyle Korver, the 23rd pick, and a future first-round pick. My thing with this whole thing is I love him going to Utah, but is that going to dramatically make them better and have them coming out of the West? You got Rudy Gobert, you got Mike Conley, you got the Spider, and you got, what's that guy's name, Ingles. But is that going to make you dramatically better?
No, they're not. I like Utah. I think Utah's a tough team. I like Mike Conley coming over to Utah. I think he stabilized the point guard position. But I've always felt like Mike Conley is like the most like overpaid, overhyped point guard in the league. Like, I mean, the dude is hurt like 90% of the time. Like, this entire contract, he's been hurt majority of the contract. You know, his 100 and what did he get, 200 million? He was like the highest paid. He's like the highest paid player in the league at one point, right?
He got like 150. I think he got like 150, which we were all like, "What's going on right now?"
Never made an all NBA team. Never made an all team. Like, dude, like, I mean, he's a solid point guard, but I don't feel like he just makes this team like that dramatically better, especially for the amount of money that you're now paying this guy to be in Utah. I mean, I thought that Rubio did well in Utah. I just think that Donovan Mitchell just can't give them enough. Like, you know, and so you bring in a second scorer. I think Conley is a better scorer. I ain't gonna say I think. I know he's a better scorer than Rubio, but he comes at like $20 million more than Rubio too. So, you know, to pay that type of money to still be a second round exit, because that's what they've been like for the past couple of years, doesn't really make sense to me. They'll still get knocked in the second round of the West. They need more pieces. They need to shore up the small forward position. Joe Ingles is your small forward. I mean, that just says a lot. Joe Ingles is your small forward.
What else? What else can you say? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you need more pieces. I mean, Utah needs more pieces. Like I said, I mean, it's a good pickup for them. I think, you know, Memphis wins in this. They finally get they've been trying to move that contract for a few years now. They were finally able to move that contract. They got they got expiring contracts out of that. I think they got Kyle Korver too, right?
Right, true.
And yeah, right. So they got a bunch of expiring contracts. All those dudes are on 1-year contracts. They'll be gone at the end of the next season, or they can just waive those guys. But they got all expiring contracts. They got a pick out of it that will turn into somebody that will turn into somebody probably solid for them. And you know, you get Grayson Allen, you get to kind of kick the tires on that, see what's there. I'm not really a big Grayson Allen fan because he was just a dirty player. But he had some talent, you know, so you get to kind of kick the tires on that, see what happens. And Memphis has already did a great job of like bringing in the youth. You know, the youth movement. Last year they took the center from Texas. Was it from Texas, right? I think the center from Texas. I can shoot. Yeah, I can't think of his name right now, but they took him. You took your point guard of the future and John Morant. You know, and they've already been making moves and bringing in more pieces. So they're building for the future right now. So, you know, getting some of the older guys out, bringing some inspiring contracts, removing those, and getting some young horses in there. They're doing well. So.
Yeah. Shout out to Eddie Moe in the building. He said BS3 on the lunch break grind. You know it. That's how I'm doing it as of now. Lunch break grind, lunch break shows. He said happy first day of summer. Yeah. here in Texas, we've been feeling it for the past days, so it is definitely here. I'm talking about like frying eggs on the sidewalk type situations. Yeah, here in Dallas. Also, there was another person I believe that came through or had a comment. No, that was it. So let's get back into some more draft talk here. There's a couple of players that did not get drafted that should be on teams' radars. One of them is a kid named Naz Reid from LSU. NBA Draft.net had him being drafted by the Mavs. He goes now undrafted. Also, Taco Fall, the kid from, was at UCF, I think University of Central Florida. Mm-hmm. Another one of those kids, not drafted. They can make an impact on their team when or if they get picked up. But those are two guys that I've seen that I know that did not get drafted. Is there anybody you can think of that undrafted that could be making some noise in the future? I think there's a lot of players that went undrafted for specific reasons. Like I said, the way the game is changing. I think Taco Fall doesn't get drafted because the way the game has changed. You need bigs who are able to step out on the perimeter, defensively, like be able to guard the pick and roll, and offensively be able to step out and stretch the floor. Taco Fall can do none of that, right? Like, as good as he showed, he's a really, really good defensive player, but he is a statue. He's an old style center that plays great post defense, but he can't move. Like, he doesn't move well, at his size. So that's why you don't see him. That's why you didn't see him get drafted. You'll probably see him in the G League. He'll probably get a roster spot in the G League or something. Maybe get a 2-way contract with somebody. Somebody will take a flyer on him. The same with Naz Reid. Some other names that I'll point out is like Louis King from Oregon. Yes. Really, really good small forward. You know what I'm saying? But he had the knee injury. That kind of derailed him a little bit. I think people are still questioning the knee injury, seeing how he comes back. He was first year back, but he shot the ball really well at the end of the season. Really, really good defensively. So he might be on the radar. Jonte Porter from Missouri, same thing. Knee injury kind of took him out, but really, really skilled. Really, really skilled stretch five. He can shoot the ball, he can put it on the floor, he can do a bunch of different things, but has like red flags as far as like defensively. Like, he doesn't slide well defensively. His instincts on defense is pretty poor. So he'll have to, another G League dude that you might take in if you can, get him better defensively, but he can give you some good spot minutes, on a team with some veterans. Justin Robinson, the point guard from Virginia Tech, I think he was pretty solid too. Can shoot the ball, handle the ball well, really, really good in pick and roll, which a lot of teams in the NBA run a lot of pick and roll now. He would fit pretty much any team, but, some red flags with him for us defensively too. So I think those three. And then Brian Bowen, I don't know if anybody even remember Brian Bowen. Louisville, right?
Huh? Yeah,
is that the kid that was Louisville, yeah, but didn't play or something like that?
Never got to play. So, we never got to see him play, but he was like one of the top recruits coming out of high school. He took the money, never got a chance to play, but he's going to be a free agent. Somebody will probably have him in camp and see what he can give you. He didn't get a chance to play against the competition to prove himself, so the G League will probably allow him to prove himself, and then see if he can get a roster spot.
Yeah. And Eddie Mo says Taco is a health risk, and the game has changed. If this was 1993, you would probably win first round.
yeah, that's real.
You're right. Now,
that's real.
As you talked about Bruce Bowen, 4 hours ago, story came out that he signed a 2-way contract with the Pacers. So we'll see what he brings to the table. Before I let you go, let's talk about the Rockets here real quick. Weird stories. Weird stories coming out there. First, they say Chris Paul wants to be traded. Then Chris Paul says, that's news to me.